turned out to be a ceramic engineer from Ohio State. And so when I decided, was going to return, the general manager called upon me and said he wanted me to remain. He said he would arrange for me to work full-time and go to a college in Detroit. And I thought about it, but by that time I was focused on getting a metallurgy degree, and I went back to Ohio State. Along my whole professional career, I made the right decisions. Don't ask me why, but it turned out that led to me being on the Manhattan Project at the University of Chicago after I graduated.
But the important thing is that you were always looking for decisions to make.
Oh,
that
yes.
would further your career. Like, I think later on in the university, you also took a job with other company, right? Battelle Memorial Institute. So you took other jobs that were leading you in that direction, right?
Correct. I don't understand how I was able to do this. I didn't know anybody at Battelle Memorial Institute. It was on the edge of the South campus of Ohio State. So it was very handy. And I got a job on a project, as Frank mentioned, that involved corrosion problem for a pump company. And they were doing it with what they called vapor deposition on whatever you were trying to cover. And this must have been really a breakthrough, chemical vapor deposition of plating part for some reason. And after a while, they gave me a project that materials were not available to the manufacturers because they were required for defense purposes. So there were a lot of things that you couldn't obtain even for manufacturers. Like on the fountain pens, they put a gold point so the pen wouldn't scratch because they used steel
nibs they're called.
Pen to manufacture. And so they were looking for some substitute for gold. And Battelle let me, on an honor system, I could go in any time of the day, night, weekend, just keep track of my time. I set up my own experiments, ran them, collected the data and so forth. And then the beauty part of being exposed there, Battelle was heavily involved in metallurgy. In fact, the Gillette Foundation ordered that they spent their development area in metallurgy for the coal mining industry in Ohio.
Before we move on, did you ever find a solution to replace the gold?
I wasn't the one that was deciding, it was my supervisor.
Did he
But
find something? Did he find something?
uh, and I really didn't know. I just generated the data.
The important thing was the metallurgy. It
Yeah,
further
right.
pushed you down the metallurgy path.
So the important thing was the staff met on Saturday mornings at least twice a month. And I was permitted to participate in a staff meeting where they discuss some project was having a problem. They were hitting a stumbling block. So there I was sitting with this research group and still going to Ohio State for my senior year. It was a wonderful, wonderful education. Listening to discussions of what the problem was on these various projects. And I was really taking everything in. It was like a postgraduate course.
Yeah, right. So now we're getting to about 1943 time period, right? And there
Correct.
again, now comes some new decisions, right?
And I graduated. Our engineering class in the junior year was permitted to continue to get their credits to graduate. But we had to go year-rounds. If we dropped out for 1 quarter, we would be called up for the military draft. It was that simple. And I thought the way the government does things sometimes, they promise we would be able to graduate, and the war was really going on bad in the Pacific and in Europe. And I thought to myself, they may change their mind. So junior year, I started increasing the number of credits I was carrying. And my senior year, I got up to carrying 24 credit hours in engineering.
That's a heavy load in engineering, yes.
And I was working at Battelle, and during the holiday season, I even got jobs as a salesman in a department store. And but it was wonderful, and I found out the more I worked, credits I carried, the smarter I was. But my grades were getting up to 4 points.
Wow. Okay.
And so that was a wonderful experience.